Happy Friday. I hope you're drunk. Gen Z has a drinking problem, and the problem is they're not drinking. What are you, pregnant? Just kidding. I know you're not having sex either.
Well, let's be nice. Yeah. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm Bridget Phetasy, and this is your Dumpster Fire. Welcome to Dumpster Fire, where we make burgers out of your sacred cows. We premiere new episodes every Tuesday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Please join us in the chat. If you want to keep track of everything we do, the best way to do so is at Phetasy.com. You can see all the content we're churning out, which is a lot. Some might say too much.
Too many notes.
This is a pre-recorded episode about the Gen Z collapse in drinking and alcohol consumption because we are at a funeral this week. I don't know if that's important information, but I'm going to put it out there for the behind the scenes.
Okay.
According to Rabobank, Gen X accounts for most of the alcohol spending in the U.S. at 27.5%. Of course.
What was the last part you said? We've got to work together. No, the last part. You're a boomer?
Millennials and baby boomers follow closely behind, tied at 25.5%, and Gen Z drinkers make up only 3.6% of the country's alcohol spending. And that is frankly just sad. Gen Z, you've got to get your shit together a little bit here. I think there's a lot of things for why this is, and there's a lot of hypotheses for why this is. I have my own. There are some that are already out there. Some say it's Gen Z's focus on mental and physical health. They're growing up in this hyper optimization culture. And it's probably, in truth, a combination of all these things. Some say it's changing social dynamics, like they don't go out and party because they're losers. Some think it's because alcohol is expensive and Gen Z is broke. Also true. Some think it's the desire to maintain control over their public image, especially in the age of social media. Nobody wants to get drunk, have a video go live, and then it's you calling your friend the N-word.
Please you need to stop. There are children. Please stop.
And now you can't get that job at Goldman Sachs anymore. There's a lot of factors. I think it's pretty interesting. The most important one has been left off of this list, which is that everyone's getting their addicting button pushed by their phones. The dopamine receptors and all of the stuff that we would get from drinking, they're just getting from sitting at home scrolling on their phone, doom scrolling, TikTok, all that stuff is giving them some kind of reward in their brain, and they don't need to go out and try and ask some weird guy by the 7-Eleven and flirt and show your boobs a little so that you can get them to buy you a 6-pack, and hopefully he's a little bit of a pedo but not too much of a pedo that he's going to then ask where you're going, and then you've got to be worried when he follows you to the house party, and now you've got this weird drifter that's at the house party because he bought you booze.
Who hurt you?
How easy would it be to buy booze if you're Gen Z these days? I'm sure you can just get it DoorDashed on your parents' account or something. How hard these kids don't even know. Again, the weed, they don't. That's the craziest thing about this to me, is that the lengths I had to go to drink and smoke weed when I was a kid. I should have gone to Harvard with the amount of energy that I focused on getting myself the right substances. It was a full-time job when I was in high school. And I was also doing it for other people because I was quite good at it. Uh-huh. So I was selling things. I would have keggers and charge. I would buy people booze. I would be the last girl standing at a party with booze, and I would charge all these trust fund babies $10 a beer at the end of the night.
You always had the hookup. You always knew who to call to get
I was always
whatever
flirting with drifters outside 7-Eleven. Gen Z doesn't even have it that hard in terms of having to try and get this stuff, but I do understand that they probably don't have as much disposable income, but come on. I mean, I drank my whole life without having that much money, particularly when I was in my 20s. You're a girl. But then, as somebody in the writer's room said, are guys even buying girls drinks anymore? Most of them are incels, if they even leave their mom's basement.
Would you girls like to cool off in a cold, dark basement?
They're certainly not buying that hoe a drink.
Well, is the goal to get laid anymore either? Because aren't they not having sex?
No, they're not having sex either.
What the fuck? They don't know how to be social with each other.
Well, it's funny. There's a lot of different opinions about this online. Like, this is the evidence that society is in decline. And I'm like, but historically, when society is in decline, even like during the Great Depression and wars, drinking goes up. It's not something that goes down. It's something that has been with us, humanity, since the dawn of time. Getting out of our brains has been with us forever. I think the collapse in alcohol consumption is something that we should be concerned about, because how else are we going to get unwanted pregnancies? And this is why the birth rate is collapsing. But it really is. More importantly, I think it says a few things. The addiction thing doesn't go away. A lot of these kids are gambling, particularly the men, and they're addicted to porn. So it's not like they're not addicted to anything. There's a big upswing in Gen Z men being addicted to online gambling, because that is very easy to do. And also porn.
Oh, is that another ass? Don't mind if I blah, blah, blah.
There's also just the tendency for Gen Z to isolate. They're just not as social as kids had to be when you couldn't socialize with one another online. We all had to get on the phone and talk to each other, and we had to talk to, God forbid, our friends' parents to even be, there were gatekeepers to even get to our friend. We'd all get dropped off at the mall, which doesn't even exist anymore. Those are dead too, along with drinking. And pretty soon, along with restaurants and bars, because there was a big report that came out just a couple weeks ago about how most restaurants make all their money off booze. That's just known.
Yeah.
Because the markup is massive on booze, and you're not making any margins on your food. And all these restaurants are being put out of business because Gen Z, you're not doing your part, you're not getting out there, and you're not socializing, and you're not keeping these restaurants alive with your alcoholism like we did. I'm of many minds about this. I think I get it, because I'm about to have 12 years of sobriety. I love drinking. I love it so much I had to quit. That's how much I love it. And I was amazing at it. I made alcoholism look amazing.
Bridget was a spectacular alcoholic. You guys have no idea.
No idea. Not only was I an international slut, but I was an international alcoholic. In Sri Lanka, my nickname was Robot, because I just never slept, which is still true. So I think drinking is fun. Zooming out, I think the bigger picture, and this really encapsulates so many of the problems that we're dealing with, whether we realize it or not, is that we all opted into the surveillance state, and this is another one of those ramifications of that. But how are you going to steal your parents' car and go out and get in trouble and come bring it back and get away with it? You're not, because there's going to be a ring alert the minute you pull out of the driveway.
Yep.
And your phone that's being tracked by your parents is going to be telling them exactly where you are. You just cannot get away with anything, and there's no real incentive to. And you also have all these videos that are like, you need to be up at 5 a.m. and get your 20,000 steps in, and then look at the sunlight, in the kind of Andrew Huberman world, where you're like, drink your water and get the electrolytes and only eat meat and make sure you're getting protein, and then you got to go do your weights and make sure that you're making $20 million. Also, I think it's good. Some of them are they're trying out crypto, they're building podcast empires, I don't know, YouTube channels or something. I'm just an old lady on YouTube. I don't know what Gen Z is doing. I don't with TikTok at all. I know that shit is like crack, and every Gen Zer I know is on it. And they're all hooked on that, mainlining it all day long. In the 12 hours that it was shut down, I know Gen Zers who are in little balls detoxing on the ground, like train spotting. So I think they're hooked on that Chinese app. But I'm really interested in this conversation. I think it's an ongoing conversation, and I would love to hear from you in the chat. Do you have Gen Z kids? I know our audience is mostly Gen X, elder millennials. Thank you for holding down the line with the rest of us. I know you guys like to party. I saw you in the 2010s out there shaking your ass on the dance floor when I was getting a little too old for that. And I would like to hear from you if you have the Gen Z kids, what you think about why they're turning away from drinking. Is it money? Are they squirreling it away for a house? Is it because of other factors? Do they just not like it? Tell Maggie and I in the chat. And if you're somebody like me who had a massive drinking problem or has one, in our next segment, I'm going to talk about just how I knew and why I quit, because I don't think it's all bad to step away from drinking, but I do think, like, if you can drink in moderation, why wouldn't you? Like, that makes no sense to me. I look at somebody like Maggie who can just have a half a glass of wine and leave it there like a psychopath. And I'm like, how do you do that? But if you're one of those people that can do it, there's no reason to not drink. It's a lovely part of life. Eat, drink, be merry. This is something we should. There's a lot to be said for disinhibition and lowering those, greasing those social wheels when you're out. And you don't even have to drive. That's the other thing. We had to drink and drive, guys. Yeah. We didn't have Uber, and we didn't have robo taxis. It's just crazy to me. We've failed. We've failed as a nation, truly. We gave our children everything we didn't have. We delivered to them legally, booze delivered to them, and robo-taxis. And this is how you thank us?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
Before our next segment, don't forget to like, subscribe, touch my bells and buttons, and tell your friends about us. We had 100,000, so thank you guys so much. We're figuring out our Mexican weather report, booking it. I'm learning Espanol. You have to stick around through the ad to see the weather report, guys. Sorry, them's the rules. Are you dealing with an HMO like I am? It is such a pain in the ass. If you want to get any sort of testing done to ensure that you're making your health a priority, you have to wait weeks for an appointment to see the doctor and then get a referral from her or him and wait weeks more for an appointment with a specialist. And Quest simplifies this process. I can purchase my own lab tests online and test for a multitude of health issues I might be concerned about, and then take those results to my doctor, better armed with the information I need. At questhealth.com, you can get hundreds of tests across several different categories, from allergies to heart health, hormones, sexual health, women's health tests for egg quantity, perimenopause, menopause, men's health tests for testosterone, prostate, and so much more. These are lab quality tests, the same ones you'd be given at your doctor's office. So prioritize your health and go to questhealth.com today. Use the code Bridget to get 25% off and find answers to the multitude of health questions that you may have. That's questhealth.com and use the code Bridget for 25% off. There's a link in the description below. Now let's check the weather with Jessica De Luna.
Dominando el cielo medio nublado. Vámonos ahora al pronóstico del sur del territorio nacional. Por ejemplo, en Apatzingán prevalecen las altas temperaturas 22,40. En cuanto a Chilpancingo, 16,33. Oaxaca, 14,29. Medio nublado, algunas áreas de precipitación con descargas eléctricas. Así la situación para Toluca, con un ambiente frío de 7 grados, una máxima de 22. Nubosidad media dominando en buena parte de la jornada. Así las cosas también para Puebla, 12,27. Y hacia el oriente del país.
Thank you, Jessica. The benefits of being sober for me are vast. I was as we've talked about, hardcore alcoholic. I could give you 7 million stories about why I needed to quit drinking. But more importantly, I want to give you guys some of the things that have helped me in case you're somebody that just wants to experiment. It's Sober October for a lot of people. Maybe you're trying it out for the first time, just not drinking. I thought this would be a good time for me to talk about some of the things that helped me when I first got sober. Now, it was hell for me because, like I said, I was a pretty hardcore alcoholic. If you are in danger of getting DTs, if you're drinking every day, all day, you start drinking in the morning, you probably need some medical help to get you off of drinking. That is outside of my scope. And you would want to consult with a doctor to help you with that. So if you're like a hardcore alcoholic, do not quit cold turkey. It can be very dangerous, as you probably know already. And go get some professional help with the detox, because I quit heroin with no professional help, cold turkey. And I really do think it just permanently damaged lots of my brain. Like a lot of my brain just went offline and probably never came back on.
I'm retarded?
It's not the way you should do any of this. You don't need to suffer like this anymore. There's a lot of things that they can do to help you with this. So this is my not a doctor advice. Go consult professionals if you are if you're going to experience severe withdrawal when you quit. That being said, there's a lot you can do. One of the things that I mentioned on a past episode is I did just get through the next 5 minutes, next 15 minutes. Some people have said that this has been very helpful to them. Just hearing that, it also kind of inspired this entire episode. So in the early days of sobriety, early days for me is the first 90 days. Those I think are the hardest. Now, when you get sober, and I say this to a lot of people, I find for me that pure abstinence is the only way. I've tried to do lots of other things, like California sober. I still ended up drinking. I didn't try any of the drugs because they didn't have them when I quit. But if you're interested in that, we had Katie Herzog on Walk-Ins Welcome, and she talks all about drinking your way sober with some of these new pills that you can take that basically turn you off to drinking while you're drinking. So there are other ways you can there are programs that specialize in moderation. I'm not any of those things. I am pure abstinence. It's easier for me to just not think about it. And I also know from a lot of experience that if I drink one drink, I will want another one. And once it's like Pringles. Once I pop, I can't stop. So, and I just can't stop. And I tried.
You lack a discipline.
Nuh-uh, I don't lack a discipline.
People will be like, have you tried just having one? Yes! Don't you think I tried that? Don't you think? Never say that to someone who's quit drinking, by the way. Don't you think I tried that? A. B. Do you think I have any interest in that? No. One drink sounds like hell to me. I want one bottle. I've never wanted one drink. This was a lie I told myself when I was early sobriety. I would be sitting in an AA meeting and I'd be like, oh, I just miss being able to have one glass of wine with my steak. I never had one glass of wine. I never wanted one glass of wine. That was not a thing that ever occurred in my life. I wanted a whole bottle and nothing less. And I would drink until I could find cocaine. And I loved cocaine because it allowed me to keep drinking. And also I loved cocaine pre-fentanyl days. Drugs were fun, guys. I mean, come on. And I'm not advocating for them, but you know, they had their time. So they say one day at a time in 12 step. That's like the big famous, one day at a time. That was not enough for me. If you are somebody like me who could not make it through a day without putting some kind of substance in your body, and I still drink coffee alcoholically, by the way. If you were someone like me that one day at a time, I couldn't make it a day. That was the problem. So in order to make it a day, I had to get through sometimes an hour, sometimes 5 minutes. I'd be like, all right, because oftentimes what happens with those physical cravings in the early sobriety. Now, I would say the earliest of sobriety is the first 90 days. That's really tough. It's when you're building, all sobriety is building new habits. If you don't like thinking about it in terms of sobriety, think about it in terms of atomic habit building, because that's all you're doing is you're just doing something differently every day until it becomes a habit. And the great thing about drinking is that it's not doing something. So you don't even actually have to do anything. You just have to not do a bunch of things, which is like the lazy man's way to pat yourself on the back. But it is great and also impossibly hard. So I would get random cravings. Like I remember one so vividly. I was on my way to a meeting. It was raining. I was feeling sorry for myself because self-pity is a big, like pour me another drink. That's a big part of why people keep drinking. And I was feeling sorry for myself. And I was sitting in my car and I was at a light. And I remember the windshield wipers going and it was raining in LA, which was weird. And then there was this like liquor store that had half of a sign and it was like, and I just wanted to drink so badly. In my brain, I was like, fuck it. I'm going out. I'm going to go buy a drink. And I was like, just say no for 5 more minutes.
Just say no. What's so hard about that?
I literally was like, just make it through this red light. And don't go make that turn and go to that thing. And then the craving persisted and I was like, just make it 1 more minute. So that was very helpful to me in early sobriety. This also ties in with my favorite, most life-saving phrase. There are so many platitudes in the program. They drive me nuts. I do stand up about it. Like, let go and let God. And you're like, okay, let God what? Like fucking pay my rent. I have no job. I had no job when I got sober. I was going to 3 meetings a day. I just turned sobriety into my job. I was like, oh, great. My landlord's going to be like, I'm going to be like, don't worry. God's got this. And he's going to be like, all right, get out. Now I'm homeless.
Rent, not now.
Somehow God did get it, but that's step 2. Let's talk step 1. Here's the other thing about sobriety. There is getting sober and living sober. They're 2 completely separate things. Getting sober is getting over the physical addiction part, getting over those cravings. For me, with the weed addiction that I had, which was really hardcore, and I will do a whole separate on weed if you want, because weed addiction for me was actually more longer lasting and persistent. And in terms of like the cravings and having to get over that, it took me much longer than alcohol. And the most powerful saying for me is pause when agitated or doubtful. This is a big phrase in AA, and it was life-saving to me, because if I was like, I'd get mad, I'd get into an argument. You have no coping skills when you get sober. If you're somebody like me, Gen X, who drank for literally 25 years or whatever, I had no coping skills. So I'd get agitated and then I would have to pause. And then I'd say, I can make it 5 minutes. I can make it 15 minutes. I can make it into the next meeting. I just always kept putting it off. And this is true with smoking cigarettes too, which is also an extremely, extremely hard addiction to break. I started smoking again in sobriety and had to then quit smoking cigarettes. So that one of like putting it off, like I can just wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That is very helpful. And in combination with pause when agitated or doubtful. I always forget the or doubtful part, but that is, the more that I use that, the more now I know, oh, I'm agitated. Don't send that email. Oh, I'm doubtful. Don't make that decision. Now it just becomes a sign to me that I need to pause. Pause. And I will end on this. I have a lot to say about stay. Any questions you guys have, like this is something I could talk. Clearly, we're at 30 minutes. I could talk all day about this.
We can do a whole series.
If you want me to do a whole series on this, I will. Put your questions in here. Anything you want to know. I'm an open book on this stuff. I will talk about what worked, what didn't work, like the God stuff, all the different ways I tried to get sober before I got sober, all the things I learned in being in program. I still go to AA meetings, although not as much as I probably should, but I still do. The sponsor-sponsee relation, like any of it. Just ask me whatever you want. I will give you this also, Detox Tea recipe. We will put it in the description below. this really helped me with my detox. You've got to get that stuff out, and it's lemon, ginger, and turmeric. And you just make a big brew of this, and I would boil it, and then I'd sprinkle a little cayenne in it because that helps open up the blood vessels, and it just helps like kind of push through a lot of the I was so toxic when I quit drinking. It was disgusting. So we will leave you with that, and I there's so much more I could say. Truly, I could truly just pivot to talking about sobriety for the rest of my life.
I love how the first half of this is like Gen Z needs to drink more, and the second half's like, but here's what to do if you drink too much.
Look, there's a happy medium here. It's so interesting to me that in this time of like hyper politicization, there is like don't drink or you're drinking. There is a moderate drinker, and I think that if I could be a moderate, it's more just like if I could be a moderate drinker, I would be. I think it's great to get like a little like nice buzz and sit with your husband outside and watch a thunderstorm, or go watch a game and you have a beer and a half, and it gives you a little bit of courage to like talk to another person who's randomly at the bar watching the game, or maybe it just gives you incentive to like go out, or even just making different cocktails can be super fun. There's a lot around drinking that I think is not bad. It's just like I love it. Like I said, I love it so much I had to quit. I love it, and I have no off switch, and I have 12 years coming up. So yay. Gen Z, maybe it isn't good for you at all, but I think like a little bit of it, not bad. I don't think it's good that they're just like isolated alone on their phones.
They need the social lubricant.
Yeah, we need to bring them back.
Phetasy News.
Phetasy News. If you love Dumpster Fire, the best thing you can do is become a paid supporter at Phetasy.com. You get the unedited version of this Dumpster Fire, and we leave a lot of inappropriate things on the cutting room floor. You also get access to everything else we're doing, and it's a lot. Join us every Tuesday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for a new Dumpster Fire. We are off on Tuesday because, as I mentioned, we have a family funeral. We are attending. Thank you to everyone who helps make Dumpster Fire possible. Thank you, Ben, Kevin, and Better Phetasy. Thank you to Quest for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you to all of you. We love you. Happy Sober October. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Bridget.
And now to cleanse your palate, the internet is glorious.
Here we go. It's time to do the thing that I've been avoiding. Oh, whoops. How did I get here? No, I meant the thing that I've been avoiding. It's time to do the thing that I've been avoiding. Wait, what the heck? No, I meant to do the thing that I've been avoiding. It's time to do the thing that I've been avoiding. Oh, but a quick little nap wouldn't hurt, you know? No, dude, it's time to do the thing. It's time to do the thing that we've been avoiding. It's time to do the thing that I've been avoiding. What the? Maybe it's not what I'm avoiding, but who I'm avoiding. Maybe who I'm avoiding is myself. No, it's actually the thing still.
Remember, life is absurd. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. Take the work seriously. Don't take yourself seriously. This has been your Dumpster Fire. I'm Bridget Phetasy. Now make me rich! I'm not ready.